Hello, sunshine. Dr. Brook here with another episode of Your Body Speaks. Can you believe we are on episode 5 already? Today, we are going to be explaining some of the mysteries of the body and the 3 top things I see patients coming to me with concerns about. And I'm going to really break it down into a lot of detail and share with you some more incredible intelligence of your body and how it speaks to you so you can tune into those subtle signals that it's giving you. But first, we are going to be recapping episode 4. So if you haven't checked that out, here is a recap. I do believe that you should go check out the full episode for all of the amazing nuggets that were given in that episode. We spoke about cortisol and the silent impacts that stress has on our bodies, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. Elevated levels of stress in the body can lead to what I call, and a lot of health practitioners call, a cortisol belly, a ring of fat just on those lower portions of your hips. For women, we're just like, get this off of us, right? We don't want it there. So cortisol belly, puffiness in the face. If you have difficulty healing from injuries, get little cuts that take longer to heal, maybe some loss of hair coming out, sleep disturbances, not able to stay asleep or having difficulty getting to sleep or waking up too early and so forth. Those are all signs that you have elevated cortisol in your body. We also talked about management of stress being a key component to keeping harmony in your body. Cortisol wreaks a lot of havoc in your system, and we don't want that. We want healthy management of stress in your body. And some of the management tools that we went into a lot of detail about on that episode were breath work, exercise, eating nutrient-dense foods, getting in some electrolytes, and my personal favorite is brain dumping on a piece of paper, which is AKA journaling. So powerful in what it can do and the realizations it can give you just by doing that exercise alone. So check out that episode if you haven't already, but do so at the end of this episode. All right, getting into it. Mysteries of the body explained. The very first one is pain greater at night. So we feel aches, pains, fevers, ickiness in our body. We felt better earlier in the day. We felt better when we woke up in the morning. And then as the day went on, it felt like things got worse and worse and worse. And so a lot of times if we have multiple days being strung together of not feeling great, we tend to think, what in the world? Like, I'm not getting any better. I'm going backwards. But in reality, you're not going backwards. Your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So what happens when you feel these aches and pains in the evenings and you're trying to sleep and you're trying to get better and all this stuff is happening and you just feel like you're constantly getting worse, that is actually your cortisol levels. And I know I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, we talked about high cortisol levels in the body, dysregulated cortisol in the body and what it can do in harmful ways. But cortisol is actually a really good hormone and we need levels of it. We just need balanced levels of it. So the reason you feel the feelings that you do in your body as the evening comes is because that cortisol level drops. That cortisol level comes down. That's what helps you get to sleep at night. When you get to sleep, that is when your body does the most healing. Sleep is where the body does the most healing. You absolutely need to get sleep when you're in a lot of discomfort. But problem is people who have a lot of chronic pain in their body have difficulty sleeping. So there's a lot of different components that need to be addressed to help with that. And I'll get into some of the things about what we can do to help get a restful night's sleep, to try to get our body calming down and to really work through these areas of discomfort in our system. One thing I want to mention is that sleep deprivation increases the production of cytokines, which are a pro-inflammatory marker of the immune system. It's a protein that increases pain in the body. So it is vital that we get sleep, and it is vital that we do what we need to do. With all this said, the reason why, to summarize everything I just said right there, the reason why your body feels more pain and ickiness in the evening is because your cortisol levels are dropping. What you need to do, don't freak out. Do not freak out. Do not freak out. This is normal. Your body is doing its normal thing. So what can we do? If you start to freak out, what do you start to do? You start to stress, you cause anxiety in your system, you don't sleep, you get sleep deprived, so then you have more pro-inflammatory markers flying around in your body. This is going to make it difficult for you to properly get better. And then you're just having to medicate every single day and every single few hours. And I know for you and that's not our jam. That's not our jam. We like to do things more holistically. We like to do things more natural. We like to honor our bodies. And that's why you're listening here today. How can we create a healthy sleep environment? One of the ways is keeping your room as dark as possible. So if you have windows with no curtains, a big suggestion of mine is to wear one of those sleep masks, or at least wear the sleep mask as the sun is starting to come up. If you're still in bed, pull that sleep mask over your head, have it close to your bed so you can continue sleeping through until you need to actually wake up. The other thing is to keep the room cooler. You can always put more blankets on, but sleeping in a cooler environment, anywhere between, in the United States, we do Fahrenheit. So if you're listening out of country, do the conversion for me. But it's 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit would be the ideal temperature to sleep in. And like I said, if it gets cooler, you can pull a blanket over. Having some audio, like soothing sounds, white noise in the background, something to create a relaxing environment. And in your, one thing I want to note is when you are feeling sick or you're overcoming something like a fever or some pain in your body, joint pain, starting your bedtime routine earlier in the night is beneficial. So if you normally go to bed at 9 p.m., starting your bedtime routine around 7:30 would be best and ideal in the state of not being well. If you're well, you can start your bedtime routine even 30 minutes to 45 minutes prior to going to sleep. So having that sleep hygiene to really set you in motion to heal and to repair and allow your body to do the amazing work it's been designed to do. The other thing, avoid alcohol. I don't know if it goes without saying, but just avoid alcohol. It's going to impact your sleep. And then the other one also is avoid blue light exposure. So one of the things, well, patients always see me wearing these, my blue light blockers, they help to reduce the blue light that's coming into your eyes. So in the evening, it's more red light therapy can be helpful. I know a lot of people in my circle will wear red light or amber light glasses as they're winding down for the evening to really help settle all of the hormones, melatonin and cortisol, serotonin, all of those hormones in the body. So you can get yourself some blue light blockers and reduce blue light exposure as well. When I say reduce blue light exposure, also, I know a lot of us tend to be scrolling on our phone, watching TV, doing stuff like that in the evening. So even if you got a pair of these, or like I said, amber or red glasses in the evening as you are winding down for the night. Next one, fevers in the body. Okay, so we talked about how pain comes like a thief in the night, and we feel like we're improving and we're getting better, and then all of a sudden the evening comes and it's not. But what is this fever telling you? What is this pain? What is this discomfort? What is all that? What is all that happening? Like, what is happening? We've all, and I don't think there is one single human being on the earth who's never experienced a fever. We've all experienced fevers. And I know you can probably, as you're listening to this, think about many people in your environment who may have recently been sick or complained about having a fever and not feeling well. But the thing is, fever should not be feared. We tend to fear fevers. We tend to freak out. And this is one of the things that I really, 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 if I need to say really again, it means it's so important. But this is one of the things that I'm like, what in the world have we done as a society to really create so much fear and so much distress over the fact of a fever? When in reality, the fever is working for us and not against us. The fever is the body in motion, going to war, fighting against pathogens, fighting against like viruses and bacteria, keeping us alive and well, just as God designed it. So why are we fearing these fever? Before I jump into that, I think it's appropriate to say this right now because I'm going to go into a lot of detail and some personal story on these fevers. I just want to add in this disclaimer that none of this information is medical advice. This should be used as educational information only. Okay, so back to the fevers. So we've been taught to fear, to freak out, to do all this irrational stuff when fevers hit. But did you know that those fevers are actually the body's intelligence in motion? It's one of those things that you can see in your children and you can feel in your own body. And it's absolutely normal. As I mentioned before, it's your body working for you and not against you. Without getting into the weeds, I do want to explain a little bit of the mechanism of fever. So there's these proteins called pyrogens that trigger in response to a pathogen in the body. The pyrogens are going out. Think about them as little pirates. They're going out. They find a pathogen, something in there, and they trigger the body's immune response. So pyrogens are part of the immune system. They bind to receptors on this area in your brain called the hypothalamus that sits deep, deep, deep in your brain. And this is the region of the brain that regulates temperature. So hypothalamus, the pirates tell the hypothalamus in the brain, hey, there's a pathogen here. Hypothalamus goes to work. It starts increasing the body temperature a few different ways. Some of the ways that it does increases the body temperature is by contracting the muscles, making the muscles super tight so that it causes you shivering. And when you shiver, that increases your core body temperature. It also will increase temperature by vasoconstricting, meaning closing down, tightening of your blood vessels to avoid losing heat from the skin. It also will increase your metabolism to produce heat from cellular respiration, meaning your cells breathing. That metabolism is getting increased. The cells are doing a lot more breathing, respiration, right? And you heat up that way as well. One thing I want to mention right here, just when I'm talking about increased metabolism, as your body is increasing that metabolism to increase the heat production, the hypothalamus is controlling that. A lot of times people don't feel hungry when they are sick. You don't feel like eating maybe soup and little brothy type things. That's okay. I always tell patients, I tell people I talk to, nothing is one size fits all. You'll hear that a lot on this show. One of the things to like be mindful of is eat when you're hungry and don't eat if you're not. So if your body is not wanting you to put anything in the system, don't put it in just merely to put it in and say, I have calories in here. Like you don't need to do that. It's not, your body will self-regulate itself. You'll come out on the other side of this fever and you will definitely be hungry again. Those are just a few ways that the hypothalamus increases that temperature within our body. After the hypothalamus gets all these mechanisms going to increase the temperature of our body, this then activates the arachidonic acid pathway, which creates prostaglandins. Now, if you've listened to every single episode on the show, you know I talked about prostaglandins on episode 3 when I was talking about the menstrual cycle of females and the increase of prostaglandins during week 4, which is the luteal phase of the cycle, and how it causes us to have more joint pain or just feel icky in our body. Because guess what? Prostaglandins, those pesky little molecules, they trigger inflammation so you don't feel good. But we need these pieces here. So these prostaglandins bind to the hypothalamus and they further amplify the fever response. So hypothalamus is sending out signals. Everybody needs to heat up. Prostaglandins are binding to the hypothalamus, telling the hypothalamus we need to amplify this fever. So hypothalamus is then heating up everything again because, hey, this might be a big pathogen we got to get out. So that's why you see sometimes fevers can be low-grade fevers and they can be higher grade fevers. I personally, this is not you doing what Dr. Brook does, but I personally am not freaking out about a 102 or a 103 if everything else feels normal in my body. And I know that is very subjective. So again, this is just me. This is not you. I share that with you. I'm going to go through some stuff around childhood fevers and fevers in children in just a moment. But one thing I should say here as well is because I don't fear fevers, I also don't take my temperature. So it's really hard for me to be like, oh, I can tell this is a 101 or 102, but I could tell when my body is getting really, really hot. And then you go through those phases where you start to sweat. So the body will heat up. And then as it's successfully fighting the pathogen, you start to sweat. So you go from cold to sweat, cold to sweat. This is all of the mechanism I just explained with the hypothalamus regulating all of the temperature there. After the body successfully fights the infection, the hypothalamus is going like, okay, great. All the bad guys are out. Like we can return this temperature back to normal. Isn't that so cool? Oh my gosh. I think it's the most fascinating thing. And the more that I get into this with you guys, I think, I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just nerding out, but I think that you're going to actually think that this is so fascinating as well. And next time you have a fever, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what did Dr. Brooks say? Like, whoa, like this is so cool. So what can we do? Just like we talked about the pain in the body with that first mystery, what can we do when we have a fever? First things first, don't freak out. Do not freak out. And I want to say it one more time for those in the back. Do not freak out. This is a normal process. This is the body, the beautiful intelligence of the body, what I call expressing symptoms, what a lot of people within chiropractic say, the body is expressing symptoms. That is the intelligence, the beautifulness inside of it. Most fevers can be overcome with proper rest and hydration and the complete avoidance of sugar. You hear me talk about this a lot if you've listened to other episodes. When you are getting sick, when you get that first signal that the immune system is gearing up for battle, avoid sugar. Let's think of it like this. So let's say your immune system's going out to battle. You got your soldiers out there. They're doing what they need to do to take the ick guys out, to take the viruses, the bacterias, the parasites, all the stuff out of your body because it doesn't belong there. So your body's fighting and doing all of its stuff. And then you start to eat sugar. I don't care if it's orange juice. I don't care if it's things that you think are healthy. Like I'm going to eat some flavored yogurt because I need good probiotics. Yeah, with 17 grams of added sugar. Whoa, people. Whoa. We don't want that. We do not want that. So think of this like this. Sugar is like putting a blindfold on your soldier who's in battle and he's there trying to do his thing. She's there trying to do her thing. And now she's blindfolded. So she's out here just wheeling and moving and trying to do what she needs to do, but she's been hindered in the process. You cannot expect your immune system to fight with excellence and with precision if you have sugar in your system. Do you hear me? Yes, I'm very animated about that. Yes, I'm very wild about that, but it is gospel, okay? No sugar while you're fighting an infection. You will take way longer to recover. If this is the case, you'll end up on antibiotics. You'll go through the whole routine of medical management, and that is not what you want. Especially as a listener of mine, I know that's not what you want. If you want to recover faster, without the use of over-the-counter medications, Tylenol, ibuprofen, Advil, Aleve, and so forth, you need to recognize first and foremost how freaking intelligent your body is and honor it. Thank it for doing what it does. Thank it for keeping you alive every second of the day. Then allow yourself the space to recover and rest. This may be a great time to cozy up under a blanket, watching your favorite show or watching a show that you're finding interesting in the moment, or reading a book, a physical book. I know a lot of people like listening to audios as well, myself included, especially when I'm getting ready in the morning. So maybe you do that. Maybe you just lie down in bed, sit on the couch in a cozy blanket with a book or with the TV remote and just rest. Don't need to do much of anything else other than let your body do all the magic it's doing while you give it the tools. All right. Okay, Mama, Papa Bears, this whole section is for you guys. I have a 13-year-old child. I'm going to share with you the things that I did when she was younger, when she had a fever. But before I talk about that, as parents, it is hard to see our babies. And I don't care what age your child is, they will always be your baby, suffering or in discomfort. But just like with yourself, their bodies are just as intelligent and they have all the building blocks to fight these battles. God did not skimp out and give them less than what they actually need. Fun fact right here. There's an organ sitting right on top of our breastbone, right in the notch at the lower portion of our neck, that is called the thymus. And the thymus actually, as a baby and a child moving into adulthood, is in its largest state. So as a baby, right when it comes out of mama's womb, it is a large organ. And as the child develops, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And the reason why is because the thymus, God gave children a thymus, just like he gave us as adults, but he gave us a thymus when we were first born. And that thymus is where your innate immune system comes from. The immune system that you were born with. This is where the T cells, if you've studied any immunology or have heard anything about T cells come from the thymus. As you get sick and overcome illness, your body keeps a memory of those viruses, pathogens, and so forth. So when it sees it again, it knows exactly what it needs to fight the battle. And you will probably go on about your day, not even recognizing that there's an immune response going on behind the scenes, because that's how intelligent the body is. So as you get that immune system, the memory, that's called acquired immune system. That's your acquired immune system. And those come in the form of B cells. B cells come from bone. So thymus, T cells from the thymus, B cells from the bone. The thymus shrinks as we get older because we have more muscle memory of illnesses that we've incurred. So hello, God did not skimp out on your child. He gave your child a huge immune supporting organ called the thymus, that they get to have all of these beautiful T cells that are helping them fight these infections. Isn't that the coolest thing? All that to say is, if you feel a temperature on your child, if you feel their head, or they just feel a little bit more lethargic and they're acting pretty normal for somebody who has a little bit of a temperature going on, and they might want a little bit more cuddles from you or just feel a little bit needy. A lot of times you'll see this behavior being shown when they're teething and so forth. And it's just give them extra love, give them extra cuddles, keep them hydrated. If you're nursing, nurse them more. If you're not, give them fluids and they just need more downtime. This is not something to have an alarm for. Like, this is not. The fear of fevers has gotten so ingrained into us that we feel as though we have to check a temperature every 2 minutes and medicate. It's so crazy the amount of calls coming into pediatrician's office over low-grade fevers or even fevers at like 100, because parents have not been taught that fevers can actually be a really good thing for your child. And I'm going to explain that in just a second. So I do understand the fear. So we've been told by the medical community that if the fever gets too high, they can have what is called a febrile seizure. And cerebral seizures occur in 2 to 5% of children. And per the Mayo Clinic, this is not just Dr. Brooks saying this, they can be frightening, but are usually very harmless. With that said, I want to share a personal story with you and what I did with my child as she was in her developmental years. I started learning unconventional health things as I was going through my pregnancy with her. So I was born into a very conventional medical model. We ate very standard American diet food. We did all the typical medical necessities that kids do. We were at the doctor for earaches and ear infections and all sorts of things. So I grew up very traditional medical model. Pregnant with my daughter, decided I wanted to do something different out of the fear. And if you did hear this story, I'm not going to belabor it very long, but I was born with a mild case of cerebral palsy because I lost oxygen while my mom was in labor with me. And 5% of my brain was affected. So it affects the right side of my body. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was like, I don't want anything to happen to her like that. So I really went the opposite direction and did everything unconventional, non-conventional, and wanted the most natural childbirth, the less invasive, the less medical interventions, all of it. As I was learning and consuming and gaining a lot of information, and having people speak into my life. And I hope that this episode is something where you can take away from and feel like I can speak into your life a little bit to give you some peace of mind. So I had some really prominent people who were doctors, who were believers, people who had faith in the human body, who knew how intelligent the human body is, that was able to like give me guidance through the process. And so I remember sitting in the chiropractic office, and my daughter was maybe 30 days old, a month. And I read this article from an MD, written by an MD, talking about fevers for children and their development, and how fevers boost development, childhood development. I'm like, whoa. And so after reading that, I was just like, okay. So I don't even remember what age she had her first fever. I definitely remember a lot of more fevers when she was teething, but we rode those things out. We rode those fevers out. She got the extra cuddles. She got the extra mama milk. She got the extra love. She took the extra sleep time. I wasn't taking the temperature aggressively multiple times, freaking out, because that puts me in a state of stress. She feeds off that stress. That stress gets in my mama milk. That impacts her. We weren't doing that. No, we weren't doing that. We were taking cooler baths together. If she was getting too warm, we rode all these fevers out, you guys. And I will tell you firsthand that I watched this child, every single fever that she overcame. It was like we went light years ahead and light years ahead and light years ahead in her developmental milestones. She was just moving and grooving and doing all these things. Like that girl was crawling before she was 6 months old. She walked at 10 months old. She was doing all these things, just hitting these milestones after milestones after milestones. So I was like, wow, like super, super incredible. And being in the medical world and in the non-conventional space where I'm teaching you natural ways of doing things, I can tell you that there is research after research after research out there that shows fevers boost development. Fevers are great for immune system activation. It helps their body get those B cells and that thymus to shrink like it should when they get into more adulthood and adolescent years, and allow that immune system memory to happen. It boosts their brain development. And it makes so much sense why she did all of the things she did as quickly as she did, because her brain was so on point, because it stimulated the release of the neurotropic factors, which promote growth and of neurons and nerve connections. And it helps with cognitive function, memory consolidation. The fevers also boost microglial cells, which is the brain's immune system, the things that keep the nerve cells together. Fevers boost antibody protection. They can help avoid autoimmune conditions later in life. I mean, there's so many different things here. It's not just, hey, like not medicating for the fevers, but if you are more holistically minded, these are things to think about on top of doing all of the good foods and the high quality products you're putting on your child, right? This is so important. So I know I spent a lot of time on the fevers. I do want to spend some time on this third one as well, without making this episode too long. So I will quickly, as efficiently, get through this next one. Unrelated to fevers, unrelated to pain in the body, one of the other mysteries of the body that happens is we tend to get constipated when we travel. And I'm not talking just constipation when we travel because we're eating different diets and drinking different water and doing all that stuff, because you, like myself, will either travel with our normal snacks that we normally eat, or we'll go to places that have options of the things that we can eat. So we're getting our greens, we're doing our stuff. It's not going from high quality organic foods, no seed oils, to McDonald's. That's not us at all. And I know you know that. That's not you. But it's so fascinating to me, and I'm talking traveling, like staycations as well. So you leaving your house and maybe going to a hotel and having an anniversary or whatever evening for a few days, a weekend or whatnot, you will notice that your bowel movements, while they may have been regular while you're at home, are no longer regular, and nothing is shifted other than the placement. So if you think about this in this way, is your body kind of gets a little nervous like you do. Okay, we feel anxiety, we feel it, but your body kind of goes, oh, I'm not at home and I don't know if I feel comfortable using this bathroom. If you do the proper things to support it, again, honoring your body, loving it for what it is, letting it know you hear and you feel what it's experiencing, and then allow it to just come. Do not be forceful. Do not try to squeeze it out and do all this stuff, because ultimately, all you're doing is perpetuating the issue. You're trying to forcefully act against a force that is acting stronger against you, okay? You do not want to be stressed. Just like I said, with each and every single one of these mysteries, the very first thing I told you to do is don't freak out. Don't freak out, right? The body's doing something amazing. If you are staying somewhere for a longer period of time, your body will get comfortable and eventually release the bowels. So this is not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm not going to use the bathroom for 2 weeks. No, that's not going to happen. It will take a couple days to get itself regulated to be like, okay, I feel safe. We're kind of doing our normal thing. I'm getting my normal stuff. And so it will eventually release itself. Now, that first movement after not having a movement for a couple days is going to be something that's not necessarily super exciting, nothing to write home about, but you will start to see regularity and you will start to see things coming back to normal. The other thing to do is drink some additional water, stay away from alcohol. It is dehydrating, and continue eating your healthier foods. If you're still noticing maybe after 3 days that it's just like, things are really not moving, not getting any even inclination or any signals that my bowels are like wanting to move, a couple things you can do is fiber. Take in some like a high quality fiber supplement or a magnesium citrate, but then trust the body. Don't get all, I took it and nothing's happening, and don't get freaked out. Okay, you got it in there. You'll get another dose in the next day and you'll be okay. Like if you just like don't think about it, don't obsess about it, don't run wild with all of your thoughts. Allow your body to do the magic that it's been designed to do, and it will work for you. The other thing is stimulating the neurolymphatic point for the large intestines, which is actually starting on the outer portion of the thigh on both sides. And you're going to start just above the knee and come up all the way to the hip. Doing that about 2 to 3 times a day, about 5 to 6 strokes up the leg, can be very powerful in getting that large intestines and those bowels to activate and start moving things through. I will place the link to that video, the tutorial video, just like I did with the adrenal reflux point in the last episode, for you to have an idea of how to do that and what tools you can have in your toolbox when things like this are happening. As always, I hope you found this information helpful and applicable and giving you just peace of mind that things are gonna be okay. Your body is doing amazing stuff. Please leave a review, share, subscribe so we can get the word out, let people know that their body is intelligent and it is doing amazing work for it. Next episode, we are going to be talking all about sleep and its powerful effect on all aspects of your life, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, financially, all those areas, how sleep really impacts every single one of those. And remember, love your body, listen to your body, transform your life. And until next time, see you later.